Welcome to the show. In this edition, we're going to be talking about the issues of DNA, marriage, and infidelity. It seems like paternity issues have become rampant. However, we also get to see that it's not like it's new or it's getting more. It's a case of more people are getting to know about it. Maybe because there are more DNA testing centers in Nigeria now. But the main question in this matter is the issue of infidelity in marriage. So that's what we're looking at on the show today. And I have with me two fantastic young men. Are you young?
Young enough.
All right. We have Ayo Adeniyi here and we have Tony Oriloye. We're going to be doing justice to this conversation. Everybody's talking about it. This is what people are talking about. So, I mean, it's only necessary for us to bring it here on 18th Avenue and, make people learn. So, Ayo, you are a DNA expert. And you've been in the business for how long now?
Close to 10 years. And some change, yes.
How bad has it been? How bad is it?
Recently, seems to be getting really bad. But we've now moved from people who have doubts to actual damage. Damage, in terms of damage, we're talking about females perpetrating a lie and trying to maintain it. We're also talking about situations that women have been living 16 years on lies, saying this is your child, and now mine has finally decided, like, let me actually check whether it's mine. So, I mean, we're now seeing a point that we're now in a web of lies. Usually we try and stay out of it, but we get pulled in because we are sometimes blamed as the perpetrators or yes.
More like the judges.
Yes. Or we're trying to form a conspiracy to favor the man or whatever,
That's another issue. I'm going to be asking you a very funny question, but before that, let's look at our case study. We're talking about a middle-aged man who was approaching his 50s. At that point in your life, you're thinking of your retirement, how to give your children the best, which is exactly the reason why, you wanted to relocate, give them a better life in America. Then you realize at that point that only 1 out of 4 kids
belongs to you.
Bro, Tony.
No, that's a lot. As in, I feel if it was just 1 out of the 4, but 3 of them, that's like you said, it's damaging. As in, no man would want that. So you mean for over 10 years, because 4 kids,
yes,
20 years,
yes,
you've been living with them, catering for them, being their father and all that,
loving them,
and one day falls on your lap and you just realize that your kids, nobody wants to live with that.
Yes. And going to what I said before, it's now perpetrating a lie. It's perpetrating a lie, which has now become a lifestyle.
Possible she didn't know all along that.
No, she knew. She knew. Most people who know it's not the child of the father, apart from the ones who put their hands up and say, I'm not sure. Because some women will actually do that, but some will actually perpetrate the lie and even go as extents to bribe people who actually do the test to keep this secret. Yes.
Have you had women come to you to bribe you, like, whoa?
Wow.
Yeah. It's happened. It's very, and it takes you aback. It takes you, because me personally, I haven't had women beg me. So I remember a particular case was a military man. He has to go out of he was based mostly in Sudan, Nigerian army. So he comes and comes back. So the wife he had, she asked me, we collected the samples, and then she asked me a simple question: where is the toilet? So okay, let me show you too. On the way, she accosted me and like, please make this favor me. Yes. I was like, whatever the result is, it will come out like, because I have a reputation, because you never know, some people actually do it in two places. Because if they're going to take a life decision, like they're going to divorce their wife or leave the child, they need to make double sure.
Yeah.
They're going to take it. So I don't want to be put in that position, like, anyone can.
This guy is not trustworthy. You can't. That's true. Your reputation is really at
Yes.
stake.
So I've also had another case, and the female. This is a wonderful case. A man called me. He said, okay, he wants to do a DNA test on the child. Because of the way we cycle our DNA test, we ship on a Friday to go to America. So I said, okay, if you want your results quicker, instead of waiting for the next cycle, we need to do it right now. So he called the woman. The woman, they live in opposite sides of Lekki, Chevron and the New Road type of situation.
They don't live together.
They don't live together. So the woman, he called the woman and said, okay, someone is coming, let's do the DNA. The woman said, no, how can you just call me like that and then blah, 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 blah. The very next day, the woman did her own investigation to go who and started calling around DNA testing cases. So she came to me, and then he was asking some questions, and like, okay, we need DNA test and some questions. So I was talking to her, but then she said, oh, maybe it's him that wanted to do. I said, okay, no problem. Okay, when do you want to do it? Now she then said she doesn't really know who the father is, and she was playing on me and started crying in my office, and then, it came to a real drama.
Right.
Yes, so I mean, some people are willing to risk the fact of the secret just to maintain their lifestyle.
Yeah, lifestyle, that's closure, that's...
And the shame as well.
It reminds me of a story I heard while I was at work one time. A friend of mine, we stay in the same cubicle. They're quite close, and she has a friend, a best friend apparently, called her, I think it was on the day of her naming of her second child. And she was like, she doesn't know what to do, that he's here. As in, that was what the conversation was like. That he's here. And he was like, who was like, now mention the guy's name on the naming. And like, he came with an envelope with names on them that he wanted her to name them. Apparently, the he in question was that uni
Ex from back in school.
I think they were back, and the child actually belongs to him.
And there another man was seated as father. Then another man brings
And
the
she
names.
was asking the best friend, what should she do? Should she go ahead with the names, present them as the names she wants, or she just... And I was like, man, this is...
Okay, so this is majorly the burden is on the woman, because this is a man's
And the crime
DNA
is
testing is a
committed by the
man's
woman, so
world.
the blame should be on the
Yes.
Although, like, when it comes to the actual DNA test itself, men just need to have peace. So that's why it's called a peace of mind. The actual fidelity, we're not too sure how it happens, because there's many reasons why people take the DNA test. They might need a divorce. They might need to, like that case study, travel out, or most of it is men just not being sure.
At peace.
Yes, they just want to know that this is my child, So because there's a certain way men will code love when they're not sure about something. I mean, there's a difference. If you know this is 100% your child, you give everything.
You go all out.
So when the expensive question every quarter, and I seem to notice this every quarter when school fees are mentioned, is when I get a lot of requests for DNA.
Oh, really?
Yes, September. September is probably the biggest.
That's deep.
Yes. And it also applies to extended families as well. For when, for example, the father dies and the family has to now take care of the child, right? And the family want to know that
If he actually belongs to...
yes, because they kind of can do a DNA test, like, but if we now find out whether they're related. If they're not related, the family are more than ready to let go.
Okay, so instead of going through all this drama, why don't you just focus on, avoiding them in the first place? We're going to talk about this when we come back from the break. Guys, stay with us. Welcome back. We really cannot. It's not a one-size-fits-all kind of topic. It's really, it's neither here nor there. Tony, I'm going to go to you now. Before the break, we were talking about the different scenarios. So you've been married twice. You're a father, and you've seen 2 different marriages. So, what do you think is the reason, from your perspective? I mean, we listen to an expert. So, from your perspective as a husband and a father, what do you think the real problem is? Why do we have these cases coming again?
Well, I should say from my own past experience and all that, I think it's basically, I don't want to say money, but really it's all about it, as in your expectations when you're getting married and you're not meeting it, and you find succor somewhere else, probably from an old fling or a new one, just to make yourself. So it's a bit difficult, because you could even find funny reasons. Some could be addicted to sex, and they're not getting enough at home. They look out there, maybe one young guy, maybe an old fling that was really wild and crazy and was giving it to them the way they wanted it. So it's more, it's broad. It could be anything. But it's basically money, sex.
And those are the most powerful things.
Yeah.
But most women argue affection as well. Is that part of it as well?
Affection could grow from anywhere. If you're fun with someone regularly, you tend to like the person, you tend to like certain things about the person, and affection would grow.
So from your view, it means the burden is on the woman now. But men also do these things. Many men father children outside their marriage. So if we want to be forgiven, why do we not want to forgive?
Oh, well, about men that have kids outside wedlock, as in, for you to be able to do that, then you must probably be way more comfortable than, because it takes a lot for you to.
There might be scenarios.
You just have all these women out there.
Okay, so that guys play.
Why would you want to have a
Mistake.
child for me when you don't see any good?
Okay, so that's another thing. When you're married, hardly would you, if you're not doing fine, hardly would a woman want to have a baby by you.
That's the way I say it. I could be wrong, but that's the way I say it.
No,
As in, you already know I'm married, and you know I already have kids and a wife, and you're willing to have another kid for me, and you're not going to be my wife. Why? What's the game?
What if it's so we've had scenarios where a young lady gets pregnant and she's not able to
terminate it.
Yeah, she can't do anything
Okay, that's
about it.
That's
I mean, those are
one-off.
situations. And the baby has to stay. Or maybe some contraceptive fails.
That's true, and it gets to a point where you can't
do, Okay, so the society does not encourage abortion.
No, it
so
doesn't.
there's so many scenarios whereby it's not even a case of the ladies wanting to be with you. It's a case of, oh, I'm pregnant, there's nothing I can do about it, I have to have this baby, even though I don't like the man, it's not my kind of man.
So you would rather have a child outside. You're not married, but you rather I don't know how it works for them.
I think in those particular scenarios, it's got a lot to do with the woman's age.
Yes.
Right.
Because when it comes to the late, when
you're over 30,
yes,
35,
when the cream of the crop has kind of gone
Past.
Yes.
you don't have a
And-
choice.
Yes, on the
You
first.
just feel, look, I don't have anything to lose. I might not even get married again. Why don't I just hold on to this? And
Okay, so that brings me back to the question: why do we want to be forgiven? So it happens. It has happened. Why do you, as a man, want to be forgiven?
I think it's the
And you don't
culture
want to
thing.
be forgiven?
You know,
Why?
in Africa, Nigeria generally, as in, it's more of the man than the woman. As in, although we are being, like they say, as in, it's the guys get away with almost everything.
Yeah.
But if it's a case of the woman doing the same thing, it's more devastating. The culture frowns.
Yeah.
You know, so I think that should be the reason. But
I think most of the men, the financial power is obviously with the men. So in certain situations when a lot of this investment is done by the men, the women cannot afford to leave the man. But when it comes to a man finding out and then making a decision, as long as he has, most men are logical thinkers. If they have a particular feeling, they will find some definitive facts and then make a decision. That's why men will now say, okay, I found out this is not my child, or you've cheated, and then make a decision. Women will look at everything
yeah, in totality.
like, will I be able to live this lifestyle?
Yeah.
What will my parents say? Will I even get married? Is there anybody else out there for me? So willingly or unwillingly, they will have to forgive.
Yeah, that's why you find women, when they are getting a certain age, they settle.
Yeah.
You know,
Become
probably
more
that's not the guy they dreamed of, but it's the one available, and they could just live with it. And they get married, they're not too happy with the guy eventually, and the one they dreamed of is still out there and available.
So basically, it's a man's world. Even though men are the victim here, it's still a man's world.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's
it's
not
still a
fair
man's
on
world.
them anyway. We have to be honest. It's not really fair on them, but
It's not fair on the women.
yeah, it's not.
Good. That's what I'm trying to get here. It's not really fair on the women, because the same way.
But that doesn't justify you going out there and
It doesn't. But it's just unfortunate that men want to be forgiven and move on after kids. Do you even find the wife saying, "Okay,
Bring him in.
These are
Bring
my
him.
husband's children. Let them come. Let's raise them together under the same roof." But the man is devastated. He's, "Oh my God, where do I start from? Where do I?"
But I've had certain situations that the woman was proactive. For example, like this type of scenario that the man now comes out and tells the wife he has one child. The woman will now, knowing she's in that situation, will also want to know whether is it really his child. Because obviously, like you said, if the woman he was messing with knows he was married, he might be trying to play a game. So sometimes I have women who will now force the issue and say, you must take a DNA test.
All right. So women also bring.
are you the man?
Some
Are
of
you
the clients are
serious?
also women.
you have cases like that.
Yes, we have cases like that. So the woman will now still come like, okay, if you said this, let us know, so she can know what you will also do. So put the man like, do the DNA test. Let's know what's going on, so she'll know what her position is. Because you also have to remember, this position also affects her whether she gets kicked out or whether the man now has emotional attachment with the other woman, or depending on who the woman even is.
Right.
Because it could even be the woman's friend. You understand?
Right,
It goes levels deeper. So whatever motivation there is, and you know, especially when the woman is older, key fact, older,
Older,
yes, will determine. But also, There was an example I wanted to cite earlier. We still have this African thinking, because I've had a particular situation. It was very very hectic. We had two people who used to work in security service, Nigerian security
service.
yes, and obviously they are both of equal stature, but obviously because they're around each other all the time,
Okay.
you know, they have relationship. But the issue is that somebody wanted to force the relationship, somebody else didn't. So they did a DNA test. Now, I'm put in a situation that being security people is this: I don't want the other person to know. And then the other person say, I really want to know. And both of them have the might of the federal government
Behind them.
behind them. And now I'm
So you're
stuck
lying
in
in
between.
both.
They're telling me, like, if she knows about it, I will bring
you?
all of you. And she's telling me, I will bring all of you if
But
you
don't
don't
tell
tell me.
How did you get out of that?
So how did you get?
How did you get out of that?
It was a matter of diplomacy.
Okay.
Because I had to now force, because the woman was more hot-headed than the man.
No, they usually are.
So, because of the post they were, and she was bringing heat on me, and I was calling the man, so, okay, so now you have the result. Could you now talk to her? She said, no, I haven't
So
made my...
what did the result favor?
It favored the woman.
Okay.
It favored the woman. But it's just like when we're all younger.
Mm-hmm.
When you have a girl beating a boy, let's say in the kindergarten level, when the girl is beating the boy, you know the girl likes
The boy.
the boy. So sometimes when we have paternity cases, there's an underlying issue like either I want you back or I want you full time, you know.
Oh.
Sometimes the DNA test
okay.
is just a smoke screen for what the real
Just to
emotional
have
issues are.
reasons to be together.
Yes.
And
So, okay, so now she gets the results now. So, what are you going to do? Why not? Let's be. I mean, we're talking from the worst possible
now
scenario.
it's
Like,
yours. So
like
do you
two
want to
people-
now leave us?
exactly.
So do you get like threats, like on a regular? Like,
Yes,
Threats from-
we do get threats in terms of having authentic tests, not threats. Not threats.
Not like they'll come after you. They'll
review.
No,
kill you.
Okay, so you don't get cases of people saying, whatever the result is,
Make sure it
make
favors
sure
you.
it favors me. If it doesn't favor me, you're dead.
no. Because obviously, like I said before, it's a man-driven, need-to-know
No,
basis.
yeah.
The women are obviously not in the position to threaten. I mean, I'm not another woman. Like, I mean, if it was a different situation, that the only time I would get threatened is when it's always when it comes to like, I don't want those people to now come back to you. Like, for example, they come to our office and then she's known the person, and then they come back later and then offer me a bribe to like, okay, the family don't want me to marry him, and this is the inheritance, and blah 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 blah. But for whatever reason, then yes, I'll hear the other man say, "Are you sure she hasn't contacted you? Let me know." Blah blah blah. If it's not, I'll bring court cases, police. You know.
Really?
Yes. It
You
can
know, because
really.
major decisions are based on
Yeah,
these results.
on the results. That's true.
So you can't afford to play with them. So the society has a role in this. The society seems to influence the things that men do. So let's look at Nigeria. Look at the culture. From the people who come demanding DNA tests, which of the cultures, which of the tribes are the highest?
I think it's most of the eastern part of Nigeria that we seem to be getting a lot of queries from. I've also been able to set up partnership with certain labs in that part of the area, but still, although we still have a high case of people not the child, most of them are still the fathers. So it now deals with mentality of what these people are actually thinking. I think it's mostly that they don't want to be cheated or
Towards
be fought as
the
a fool,
inheritance and all that.
if there's a chance at all. So it's just mostly a mental way of thinking, like, I do not want to be cheated. Let me get to the root of the matter.
Exactly.
And, you know.
Anyway, I think that's their own way of thinking, because they are always pro-family, and
Yes.
they tend to take such decisions really serious.
And there's and certain parts of the East, as united as they are, they're also highly divided as well. So it could be minor things because he's from this side and they do that in that side.
Yeah, so
it's
you
not
know,
our own particular people.
Right.
So sometimes families now push the agenda like, is it really yours? And once that seed of doubt is now sown,
So
you know, it
that's
could
how
now
it starts.
take its own path. So yes.
So one of the things I'm going to take away from this is the fact that it's really about trust.
Trust, yeah.
So the whole DNA thing is a product of what is wrong. The DNA, most testing, demanding to know the paternity of your kids, is most of the time, if it's not based on traveling and all the things, it's really based on there having been some issues.
Yes.
You're right about that, saying it's about trust. And I think the reason why it's like that now is recently, as in our own time, a lot of infidelity, cheating, it's really rampant. As in the women, you can't just tell. And they're so, I'm sorry to say, but they're so good. Like I was joking about it earlier on, you can never catch a woman unless she wants you to know. You can, as in, they always have a backup story. It's a backup story, and
The backup story.
you know, by the time you are cross-checking, they already know. Unlike women, not like we don't lie, we do, but we don't cover all the grounds.
We don't, or we're not able to.
I think we don't, because we're not able to.
We're not able to.
Because you tell your wife, well, I was at so person's house. And she just said, okay. And maybe she knows that so person's wife. She will just pick up the call and form normal conversation just to find out what's going on. If you guys actually went on that trip you claimed you went for.
Yeah.
But you know, as a guy, you won't want to call your wife's husband, your wife's friend's husband. We don't do all that. That's why I said we don't.
Some of us do.
Oh, you go all out.
Some men have this kind of insecurity.
Yes.
So they monitor everything. You receive a call, they don't know the color, they monitor it.
But that's the irony of it, as in they're monitoring, they already know you will monitor. So they already have ways of deceiving you about it.
So, how much does it cost to do DNA tests?
Most DNA tests cost from 100,000 naira upwards. We have DNA tests that cost up to 600,000.
Oh,
It's
really?
not
I
expensive
thought it was more
anymore. Is that
expensive.
why more people are doing it?
No, I think it's more to do with awareness. Like you said, obviously the change in attitude has been the infidelity issues. I think it's mainly because since mobile phones have been introduced to Nigeria, and now we have apps that you can swipe left or swipe right. Yeah, I mean, you can literally get a girlfriend today.
Yeah, true.
You know.
And it'll be as if you guys have known like forever.
Yes.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, the society puts a lot of pressure
Yes, it does.
on the women.
Definitely.
So some of the mistakes that lead to the issues we have today come from the pressure from the society. Pressure of wanting to be where you're not yet ready for. Pressure of go and get married, get a man, so you get pregnant, you become a man, and things like that. So really, we should be talking to ourselves as a people, as cultures, to reduce the pressure we put on ourselves. Because we can save ourselves all the drama. Thank you very much, guys. The two nuts say it all. So that's the show. Let's reduce the pressure on ourselves. I mean, we can save the drama. We can save ourselves the drama. of having to regret for many years of happiness. You know, you stay married for 20 years, and when you should be enjoying it, you're looking back with regrets. We can save ourselves with drama by putting less pressure on ourselves, pressure for money, pressure for marriage, pressure for this and that. That is the only key to reduce the issue of paternity. Thanks for watching. You know what to do. Let's get your feedback. Subscribe to this channel. Follow us on social media. Send us your stories. Let's talk about them. The whole idea. Let's talk. Let's learn.